that to somebody in North Dakota, they think it's a frisk. Drop their hand on the side,
So continuing on with the 2020 Democrat candidate series, and as you've noticed, there's a special intro at the beginning of each of these videos. Anything covering the 2020 Democrats will have that special intro at the front. I like to call Meet the Democrats. Okay? And we're going to be covering a few more, but today we're going to be touching on Joe Biden. Joe Biden, old Sniffy Joe. I don't like Sleepy Joe. I don't like Sleepy Joe as much. I think I want to go with Sniffy, or maybe even Creepy Joe, something along those lines. I don't know about the Sleepy Joe. So, but with that being said, let's talk policy. Let's talk about just where Mr. Joe Biden stands on a lot of things. So, one of the things we talked about with Kamala Harris. We talked about marijuana. Okay. Yeah, so from everything I've gathered, Joe Biden is definitely not in the camp of legalizing recreationally, medicinally, anything. And also, I don't want everyone to think that my main issue is marijuana. It's not. But it is definitely a big issue that needs to be addressed. Aside from recreational use, it definitely needs to be changed from the schedule that it's on. Okay, it needs to, be changed down to where we can start running tests on it and looking into its true medicinal value. Because the only time anything we don't have studies provided, through the federal government about what it can do, and that's because they've left it on Schedule 1 for so long. Okay, and a highly addictive substance with no medicinal value. Well, that would be complete line of bull, people. It certainly has been proven to have medicinal value. We covered a lot of that the other day on the medical marijuana manipulation video. Okay? So it certainly has the medicinal value. Joe Biden has taken a lot of money from a lot of wealthy donors. Okay? You can expect a lot of those people, or even some people who are directly connected to Big Pharma, have been donating to Mr. Joe Biden. Big Pharma does not want this legalized. Something else we covered in the, medical marijuana manipulation video the other day. So you can expect that to not be pushed for under Joe. Just like Hillary didn't want it. Hillary's from that same camp. Status quo. Matter of fact, I think I got a new catchphrase. Maybe we can make this one go viral at some point. The status quo has to go. Okay, the status quo has to go. We need to start getting that one out and about, because they really do. As a matter of fact, they don't need to go. They should have been gone a while back. But nonetheless, better now than never. Status quo has to go. Okay, Joe Biden's without a doubt that status quo that does not have the real interest of the people in mind. Okay, and Joe's just losing it. One day he's saying that China is not a serious threat to us. Okay, China's not a serious threat. And the next day, he's bashing Trump over China and how serious of a threat China is. I mean, now, to be fair, you could say that's not necessarily old age. That's just a Democrat politician being a Democrat politician and flipping the narrative when it fits them. Republicans do it too. But Democrats have been very well known for it in the last 20 years or so. Very, 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 very much so. They could literally bash anything to death today, and if you rewind the clocks back within the last 10 years or so, they could have been praising it. Like, I don't know, a border barrier, a fence, a wall, something. They all wanted one. Not now. And I don't know what changed. Other than the fact they couldn't get Hillary into the White House. Something definitely changed. But, Obama claimed he was, for legalizing marijuana, but clearly that didn't go anywhere. Now, Joe was his VP. Joe was his VP. And so clearly Joe isn't going to be part of that. But aside from recreational, aside from medicinal, look at the fact how ridiculous it is that we have more people locked up in this country on marijuana charges than all violent crimes combined. And that is absolutely embarrassing. That is absolutely just completely embarrassing in my opinion. Okay, so Joe, definitely a thumbs down on category number 1 here. Okay, category number 2. Let's go to healthcare. So Joe thinks that the solution for the healthcare problem is to build upon the lovely Obamacare, the Obamacare that was affordable for people who had an income just below mine. They seem to be able to get coverage. Now, I heard it still had high copays, things like that. And I'm not the biggest expert in that column, I'm not going to lie. I know a lot about Obamacare from how it impacted me personally. And here's what it did to me. Okay? This what I'm about to play is a good representation of what Obamacare did to me. So, in case you didn't get that reference, I'm pretty sure it should be clear to most people. I never had coverage under Obamacare. Okay? Now, most people had an issue with the fact that apparently they lost their doctor and a lot of other things. And that was a big promise from Obama. If you like your plan, you can keep your plan. If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. And that did not happen. I didn't have to worry about that. Didn't have to worry about it. I have not had health insurance since 2016. Or excuse me. Yeah, no. 2016. So 3 years, roughly. Last time I had coverage was August of 2016. Okay. The employer I had before I had changed jobs to a new job, they actually had some decent health insurance. I had health insurance with them. After that, the employer I went to later, their health insurance, no good. The money they wanted out of each of my checks was more than I could afford to lose. And the copays were super outrageous. I mean, it basically was no good. It was enough to get them by legally, but there's no kind of benefit to it at all. And then when you take Obamacare, I made just enough money that I didn't qualify for any sort of subsidy with Obamacare. So I went without health insurance. And at the end of the year, I looked up what the fine would be of that year in 2016. Now, I was told that they prorated this fine, okay? That they would prorate that fine. Now, again, I'm pretty good at arithmetic, you know. Don't bring me into a calculus classroom or trig, but adding and subtracting, I'm pretty good at that, okay? So, there's 12 months in a year. August is the 8th month, okay? So if we divide the year up into 4 months, okay? August is the 8th month, okay? You've got 12 months total. That leaves only 4 more months, okay? Now, I had coverage through August, and then I started my new job in late August. But nonetheless, you at that point, you should count August. So I was without coverage September, October, November, December. That is 4 months. That is 1/3 of a year. Okay? Therefore, mathematically speaking, I should be paying 1/3 of the fine. And the fine total was, I believe, $695. Yeah, I paid over $400. It came out of my federal income taxes. For $400. That's half, over half of the entire fine. How is that a third? And since people have tried to explain to me that they look at certain months different and this and that, that sounds like a lot of bull to me is what it sounds like. So the last year I had coverage, I still got screwed on that fine. And in the year since then, I haven't had coverage, and they've been fining me for it. That's just lovely. So I don't make enough that I can afford my employer's insurance. I can't afford a private plan for sure. Okay, I can't afford Obamacare. Not that I'd really want it anyway, as much crap as it had. Okay. But I couldn't afford the Obamacare, and I didn't qualify for a subsidy on Obamacare. But also, I made sure not to go to the doctor because I didn't have health insurance. I wasn't going to go to the doctor and rack up a doctor bill that I didn't think I could possibly pay for. I'm not that kind of person. If I can't pay for it, I don't do it. Now, obviously, had something happened to me and I had to go to the hospital, there's nothing that I could do about that. Sometimes medical emergencies happen and you can't do anything about them. But it would have to be one serious injury that there's just no way around it. There was just no way around it, and I had to go. Okay? And, thank God that has not happened. Ever since I haven't had health insurance. But at the same time, just to give you an example of some of the things that I've been through since I haven't had health insurance and did not even go to a doctor or hospital. Coworkers can speak to this. Earlier this year, I stabbed my hand, not sure if you can see it, right there. Looks like it's a little too white. But my coworkers will speak to this. It's an accident opening up a box. Ended up the scissors jumped, and then I stabbed one of the scissors straight into my hand right there. Right in that nice little fleshy area. Okay? There's a lot of nerves and stuff in there. And it just, my hand almost went numb when it first happened. It took a while for the pain to really set in. And I mean, not to get too grotesque, it was bad. It was bleeding really, really bad. Within a minute, my hand had just swollen really badly. Did not go to the hospital. You know how I fixed that? And this is how I've taken care of a lot of injuries. I'm the type of person that likes to, adapt to survive. Okay? For example, when I was 4, I've got a scar right here above my eye where apparently I'd fallen in between 2 school desks and a screw caught my eye right there. Put a little scar there. Well, at the hospital, they didn't staple it. They didn't stitch it. And they just put some glue on it. People was like, oh, well, that was still medical glue. It was medical glue. But how did I take care of this hand injury? Some gauze, some peroxide, and a bottle of Loctite, and an Ace wrap to hold the gauze on. Literally. I cleaned it and Loctited it shut. My hand was swollen up so fat that it looked like I literally had a golf ball implanted into my hand in between my index finger and my thumb. It was swollen that fat. People at work is like, there's no way you're moving your hand. I'm like, yeah, well, I am. Surprisingly, but I am. Didn't have a ton of functionality. I couldn't even really grip stuff, and there's still points where if I grip something, I can feel a sharp little pain in that area. But there's a lot of Americans that are in the same shoes as me, but they just can't afford the health insurance. And some will still go to the doctor even though, but again, I don't want to rack up that kind of a bill. Just the way I was raised. If I don't have to go, I don't want to go for something that I can't pay for. You know? So, with that being said, Joe's plan wants to build upon Obamacare. It was a failure. And for Americans like me, it did nothing but hurt us. Okay? That's all it did. It fined me at the end of the year for a product I could not afford, but they mandated that I buy. How ridiculous. How ridiculous. Especially considering I'm not even going to the freaking doctor. But you're going to fine me for not buying your health insurance that I can't afford. Okay? But I also didn't go to the doctor and then rack up a bill at a doctor's office that I couldn't pay for. Because I Loctite my hand shut. Okay? So, that's Joe's healthcare plan. You know what I think of that? It sucks. It sucks. And we can't get one plan in this country for the average American. Yet they sit over on Capitol Hill. They got 4 plans. 4 plans to choose from. And you know what? The right says we shouldn't do Medicare for all because it would cause too many waiting lines. The quality of care would go down. This and that. Blah, 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 blah. Some of it makes sense. I'm not a healthcare expert. Some of it seems rational to me. On the other hand, I don't agree with having Medicare for all because I don't think that our taxpayer money should be funding health insurance for people who have more than enough money that they could buy a plan. See, that's something the right's pushing back on is going to take health care away from all these Americans. No, I think that Americans who make less than, and we could look at some studies on it, but just off the top of my head, Americans who make less than $60,000 a year should be, if we're going to go to a social program like that, we could look at the Medicare for all system for them. And I think it would be a rather cheaper thing than obviously Medicare for all. They're saying Medicare for all, $32 trillion. Now, I know the right's immediately going to come out, well, how do you pay for that? How do you pay for that? Well, listen, the Koch brothers, very right-leaning, have funded a study that showed we would save $2 trillion over 10 years for a Medicare for all system as opposed to what is in place right now. So if Medicare for all would save $2 trillion, what would Medicare for the middle class save? Because we're not having to give it to all those other people. They got enough money. They could still afford their own plan. Okay? Now, if there's a counter argument to that where my math is wrong and someone can present that to me, listen, I'm all ears. The healthcare thing is not exactly my field of expertise in the wealth of knowledge that I do have. Okay? But just from a common sense approach and speaking as an average working class man in this country, that's just the way that I'm seeing things from my dining room table right now. Okay? But certainly something needs to be done there. And Joe's plan is not going to work. But what could you expect from someone who probably has a lot of campaign donations for people connected to Big Pharma? And definitely has a record of not exactly having the people's interests in mind. Okay? So, with that being said, let's just take a look at some more of Joe Biden's great clips over here, shall we?
Joe Biden has long supported Roe v. Wade. Number one, Roe v. Wade's the law of the land. A woman has a right to choose.
But now he's coming under fire from other Democrats. Amid revelations, he still supports a controversial abortion law, the Hyde Amendment, which bans using federal funds for abortion services except in cases of rape, incest, or to save the life of the mother. Critics say the law prevents low-income women from access to abortion.
The Hyde Amendment is wrong. I think that we have a nation where all these insidious things are being done to undermine women's reproductive rights in this country.
This isn't about the politics, this is about what's right. The Hyde Amendment should not be American law.
Biden's views on abortion have evolved. A devout Catholic, he repeatedly voted against exemptions for victims of rape and incest during his early days in the Senate. On the Hyde Amendment, Biden's campaign tells NBC News he would be open to repealing it if abortion avenues that are currently protected under Roe v. Wade were threatened.
Joe Biden's position is very much in line with the general electorate. 58% of Americans support keeping the Hyde Amendment in place.
Still, it's likely to be a political flashpoint in the Democratic primary.
For many years as U.S. Senator, I have supported the Hyde Amendment like many others have, because there was sufficient monies and circumstances where women were able to exercise that right. If I believe health care is a right, as I do, I can no longer support an amendment that makes that right dependent on someone's zip code.
So once again, the lovely flip-flop rears its head. And what should you expect from a swamp creature that's been in the swamps for nearly half a century? Joe Biden, when did Joe Biden even get elected? I can't even remember what year he came in. But my Lord, the man has been there through so many different presidents, quite a few wars. Okay, so now he flip-flops. Now, the abortion issue, that's a very lengthy issue. That can be talked about in another video, and that is a very controversial issue. So we are not going to touch that today on this channel. Okay, one day we will, but not in this video. It would take way too long. Okay, so with that being said, though, he flip-flopped this position. You heard him say in the clip. Clearly, he was against it many years ago, the way it is today. Okay, and you know, then he evolved to support the Hyde Amendment, and now he's dropping the Hyde Amendment. Why? Because he knows that the base, for the most part, did not agree with the Hyde Amendment. The new, farther left base doesn't agree with it, so to try to play politics and win their vote, he's doing just that. He's trying to play politics and win their vote. Okay? So, again, what can you expect from a swamp creature that's been there almost 50 years? Okay? And just look at Joe Biden's track record, though. I mean, and the man has ran for president on more than one occasion, and clearly he didn't do any good. And does he really expect anyone to believe for one moment that he does not want Obama's endorsement? Really? He expects someone to believe that he told Obama, look, hey man, you got to let me do this on my own. I just want you to sit it out on the sidelines. Really? Joe, come on, Joe. Don't insult our intelligence, Joe. We're smarter than that. Come on. And let's also not forget, he was very influential in the crime bill. Okay? The 90s crime bill. Locked up tons. Minority men. This is back at the point where Hillary was calling, African American young males the super predators. Okay? So, Joe Biden, hey, listen. To all the people who think that Joe Biden is going to be Obama 2.0, you need to understand one thing. Obama 1.0 sucked. He took us from 2 wars into many more, bombing over 7 countries at the end of Obama. Okay? The world was in shambles. We had some of the slowest growth in history. Okay? He bailed out GM. Okay, the GM bailouts and the Wall Street bailouts. And what should you expect when it came to Wall Street, considering Goldman Sachs was Obama's #1 campaign donor? But then, then you take the GM bailout and hold on, let me retract that. Unfortunately, I can't blame Obama with the GM bailout. Now that I'm thinking back on it, that was actually Bush. That was December of 2008, and Bush bailed out GM. But nonetheless, you've heard my thoughts on Bush, okay? But that was December. Obama came in January of 2009. Did Obama sit down and have the talk that I'm about to explain with GM? No. So Bush might have bailed out GM, but nonetheless, someone should have went to General Motors and said to General Motors, "We bailed your ass out, son. Now here's what's going to happen. All these workers in this country, you're going to take care of. You're not going to close up shop some years down the road to go make your cars and trucks elsewhere so that you can make more money and cheat the American worker. Because we bailed you out and we were put here by American workers." Okay? Did Bush say that to him or to GM? Did Bush sit down and have that talk? No. Did Obama sit down and have that talk? No. They did not. They did not have that conversation. And what did GM just do very recently? Close up a lot of plants after we bailed them out. Well, isn't that just nice? Isn't that just nice? So, yeah, but again, Joe, no. Anyone who thinks that Joe Biden is going to be great as a president, please wake up. Joe Biden is not the man you want in Washington. You might not want Trump in Washington, okay? I could see why a lot of people don't like President Trump. Playing devil's advocate, I could see where some people do take a lot of offense to his attitude and his tone. Other people, on the other hand, like the fact that we finally have someone who doesn't act like they have a big stick wedged up their butt 5 feet. Okay? Some people are tired of the prim, proper presidential people. Some people are tired of that. Really. Because they think it represents the status quo that has been screwing over the American worker and the middle class for so long. Joe Biden is a poster boy of that sort of era. So when it comes time for Joe, without a doubt, I'm saying no. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Independent Report. If you liked the video, please hit that like button and please subscribe to the channel. If you subscribe, ring that bell so you'll receive notifications when we drop new videos. I'm trying to grow this channel and inform more people of what's going on in the world around them. Thank you for your support, and we hope you tune in next time.